I do want to ask you just quickly about those two because they are wonderful central performances. What qualities were you looking for particularly for those roles, given that you were, as you say, now changing the age of the actor portraying those characters? What were you looking for in them?
Well, Greta is a passive protagonist at the start of the film, and it's all about her journey of kind of becoming an active character. So, that is a hard thing to make work in any storytelling, a passive protagonist. So we really knew that we needed an actor that could hold a lot of story without actually doing much, because it's just about, and that is more challenging than it sounds. So that sounds like maybe it's easy, but it's actually the reverse.
She's carrying the movie.
Yes, that's right. She's carrying it, but it's like with tight shots on her face where we're just kind of, it's quite deep, the way she has to perform. And then, of course, she becomes more active and physical and during the course of the film. That's her journey, but particularly for the setup of that. And so that was, and she's a very sophisticated young woman. She's obviously already got an amazing film pedigree. She was in Mary and Max, the voice of Mary, and Mental, and she's just been in The Family Law, and she loves film. And so, we saw a lot of people, well over 100 people for that role.
And
Harrison is a very different story again, because that's a very different kind of particularity for that role. And once again, we looked at a lot of people, and we had seen him in Upper Middle Bogan, and we went, that actor looks like he could be perfect for our role. So we really tracked him down, and then he was able to send us a test, and we went, this looks amazing, he looks perfect. And then we came to, because we were based out of Adelaide, we came over to Melbourne. They're both based in Melbourne, and then work with both of them and then cast them from there.
Now you've got some major musical sequences in this which are absolutely adorable, but I want you, Rosemary, to tell us about the harsh realities of music clearance.
Yes.
Was it hard getting hold of two major pop hits?
Yes.
And
well, we had a very low budget for the film.
What was the budget on this
The budget was 1.7, and for music we had...
you made this film for 1.7?
Yeah, it was very... Yeah, it was.
Did anyone eat?
We had catering. We had catering from coming out of the theatre. The catering was most appreciated, actually.
Okay.
But
kudos.
Yeah, so we had
kudos for making an Australian feature film for less than $2 million. Congratulations.
Period. And Andy, our DOP, said, Rose, we can make this film with out much money and time if we're really on top of it, or you can make a good film without much time and a lot of money, but you can't make a good film without time and money. And so at that point we bumped the whole thing forward and really knuckled down into pre-production. So
now, what are the realities?
The realities of music.
What are the realities of music clearance?
Yeah, well, that was one of the big ones for us, because we had the big dance sequence, and we knew we had to have a killer track for that. In the play, we have "I Feel Love" by Donna Summer. That would have blown virtually half our film budget to get that one. So we really started to look at what was affordable in terms of really great disco tracks that we loved, and we picked Sylvester, You Make Me Feel, which is a killer track, and works so well even I think maybe better than I Feel Love, actually. It's got a bit more of an upbeat feel. And so that we knew we had to pay for that track. So we had 45 originally for music rights. And then we really wanted to have the Angels for the fight sequence, because we love that track as well, and their estate was wonderful. We gave them an edited version of the clip, and because we couldn't afford the track, and we said, look, this is what we can afford, and it was around about half the amount. It was very genuine, and we'd sort of said, someone said don't bother, and I said, no, I really want to try, because I love the track. Working with it just lift the scene so much.
And they came to the party? They
were so wonderful. So the two Doc Neeson's sons came to the party and said, because we showed them how the clip was edited, and they said that okay, we'll let you have it. So that was very, very generous of them, and quite amazing. We had to pay, but they gave it to a sort of heavily discounted rate. And then the next part of the story is that we all searched for 70s music that was going to be affordable. Obviously, we were coming very close to our ceiling of 45 at that point. We took a cut of the film to the partners, to Screen Australia, SAFC, ABC, and Adelaide Film Festival, and they said to us, we showed them and said, look, if we can just get a little bit more money from each of you, 10,000 more investment, then we can do this all with original music. And it's not, the rest of the music is not well known, but we hunted around looking for really cool tracks that weren't so expensive. And that was, everyone was looking. Andy was looking, and they had, by that time they'd seen a cut of the film, and we said, look, we can finish it, but we'll have to finish it with copy music, which will sound a bit sound a bit like copy music. And so they all invested that extra little bit of money, and we were able to do it with quite lateral Cambodian rock tracks. And if we found this great band, the Sports Girls out of Adelaide in the 70s, and their track is featured. So, and then of course there's the original music.
And just very quickly, can you just tell me about the sound design and your involvement in it? Are you really intricately involved in things like that?
Well, actually, I mean, we love sound design in the theatre world, and so I'm very close to Luke Smiles, who did the sound design. He works with us on a lot of our theatre shows. We were actually brought in to make this film via a fund called The Hive, which is a great initiative to take artists outside of their normal disciplines and into the film world, which is very exciting. So we took a lot of theatre artists. Luke was one of them. And the thing I really loved about making the film was, when you're making a play, everything happens at once. But within the film, because we had time to work on the sound separately, I was really, really involved in the sound. And that was actually one of the most, even though that was rushed, it was, in the end, we did it in 2.5 weeks. So it was quite tight. But obviously I worked with Harry Koval, the composer who wrote the original music, very extensively, and we'd started a long time in the lead up to that. But we put it all together in 3.5 weeks with Pete Best in Adelaide at Best Effects Studios, and Luke and Harry and myself, and that was actually one of the most pleasurable times of making the film. I felt, in a weird way, even though we were under the pump, we all had really good fun. Just hearing it all come together, hearing the tracks, and finally getting the last value out of our dollar, the last rights. Have we got $500 left? We can get a real bit of music for there. It was, and so that was really, really good fun.
Now, I do have a very serious critical question about why you shot the film in 4:3.
Yeah,
it was obviously a deliberate decision that you made.
Yes.
And I got to question it. Why did you do that?
Why did we do that? We did it because, the film was set in the 1970s.
Yes.
And that was the framing of the 1970s.
Yes, but then why are you shooting it on digital video? Or why are you shooting it, digitally? Why not shoot it on VHS? Why not shoot it on 1970s Betacam?
I think that, we feel like it looks pretty 70s. You don't think so? Maybe your eye is really more refined.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought the set design was fantastic. In fact, I was going to ask you where you got the time machine to go back to that house. Because that house looks like something out of a 1970s brochure.
Yeah.
So the attention to period detail in the film is wonderful.
Yeah.
My questioning about the 4:3 is I thought there was something wrong with my projector.
Right, okay.
So I had tried to adjust the aspect ratio, then realised that, no, that's the proper proportions of the film. And if you wanted to replicate the frame size of the 70s, it would have made sense to shoot on the format from the 70s, such as videotape or 8mm or 16mm or something like that. Yeah. Otherwise, there are a lot of films set in the 70s that are completely relaxed about being on widescreen and so on, and nobody would have faulted you for shooting it widescreen or shooting at 16:9. So
a lot of people have liked the ratio, and I think it was fun to compose pictures to that ratio as well. Like, it's really, in terms of how we constructed a lot of the pictures, we were very tight with the ratio, and we wanted to do a lot of things. We've put a lot of filtering on the film and a lot of colour grading to hopefully, get it as close to this, and we played a lot with light. When Andy is amazing with light, but to give it that 70s feel. But then, of course, we have got some advantage in using the high end cameras in the way that we've used some of the slow motion sequences and when you're shooting on a very tight schedule, what it gave us was this amazing content that we could get a lot of mileage out of, because we could, it was so high end that we could maximise the fact that it was a low budget.
Now, can I just ask you, and this is, I guess, another critical question. Yeah. Now, it is a lovely film, but I don't want to neuter the loveliness of the film by overpraising the film.
Right.
And I'd just like you to put the film, I guess, in context of the evolution of Australian film at the moment.
Right.
I mean, this is a lovely art house comedy. It's a quirky comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Australia has made a lot of art house films and a lot of quirky comedies. So it seems to be a worthwhile contribution to an oversubscribed part of Australian film.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting you say that because I definitely think that, I mean, we've had amazing traction with the film overseas. It's getting a big release in America in 2 weeks' time. It's been 21 countries, film festivals all over the world. It's been distributed all over the world. So I think... I think and a lot of that is the Australianness of it, but also a lot of people are kind of saying the reverse to me. When they've been interviewing me about the film, they've been saying, why have we lost this playfulness in a lot of our films? Why have we become so heavy-handed with naturalism? We did have this great time in Australian cinema where we were very playful, but a lot of people feel like that's actually a bit over, and we have now got this obsession with naturalism, and they were quite happy that we're playing with stylisation again, I also think the public really enjoys it. I know you think it is art house, and I totally agree. It's not definitely far from a Hollywood big budget movie, but I think it's a family story. I mean, you think about some of those Australian films, and they have been some of the biggest hits with audiences. You're probably talking about things like Strictly Ballroom, Muriel's Wedding, the Castle, all those things. I mean, they have been some of Australia's biggest hits because people recognise themselves in there and they recognise what's specifically Australian. And even to our international audiences, I think they really have been enjoying that side of it too. Yeah.
Now, you won $100,000.
That's right.
From the Cinefest
Oz, yes.
In Western Australia.
Yeah.
So, Rosemary Myers, what are you going to do with that big money?
Well, I've just been shopping on my way down here,
yeah,
Jim.
I saw you pull up in the Corvette.
Yeah. No. It's amazing for us because, as we said, the film was a very small budget. It's our first foray into film, and what it's enabling us to do is put quite a bit more money back into the P&A budget. So, it means that we've brought on a few more cinemas, and the main thing is getting the film out there and letting people know that it's on. It's one thing that shocked me is just. We have had a lot of traction with this film. As you said, we were in Berlin. We won the Seattle Jury Prize for the film at their International Film Festival. So it's, had a lot of traction, and yet it's been hard to get it into cinemas here. It's taken a while. We had some amazing backers, like we had Nova, have been incredible. So Luna, we had the Dendy, and we did have some amazing cinemas that have backed it hard, but a very few. And then since we've won the award, that's been fantastic that a few more cinemas have that's pushed them over the edge to come on board.
What's going on? I'm hearing this.
Yeah.
Almost every interview that I'm doing with independent filmmakers saying the same thing. Rosemary, what's going on? Is it cultural cringe? Is it that an Australian film needs to be recognised outside the country before it'll be noticed here? What's going on?
I don't know.
It's very infuriating.
I don't know because, I agree. I think it's quite depressing because Australian stories and, I think it's really important we have Australian stories. Of course it has to. And apparently if it doesn't do well in the first weekend, it can get off the screens very fast
forget
as well.
about it.
I think it's just the fact that, we're competing with a machine that is a very, very well-funded machine that can have, that can really... And someone said, even with that, obviously our film is, but, has a focus on young audiences, and they're probably the ones that have there's a major competition. You've got all the kind of big franchises, your Twilights films, your Harry Potters, all those massive budget films, and you have Hunger Games kind of in that ilk. So we are competing against those, but it's still important the stories get made. But then I think once people see our film, my experience is that they've been loving it. So it's just about, it's great that we're getting a bit more backing, and hopefully people will love it. It will make it through the first weekend, and then the word of mouth will build. And I feel optimistic. I mean, it's, every film festival that's played in Australia, it's apart from the Gold Coast, which is a much smaller festival, but it has really packed out cinemas. In Adelaide, it was the fastest selling, where it was made, it was the fastest selling film there. They've filled up 5 screens pretty quickly. Melbourne did 3, an extra screening when we won the MIF award. So, yeah, I mean, I think audiences like it, and I'm, fingers crossed that they just know that it's on. And but we're doing a big social media campaign, which is where our audience is really targeted, and that's been really great.
I mean, please be honest with me about the marketing of this film. Ideally, what would you have liked? Because the film is a week from release. and there's no TV ads, no billboards.
That's right.
You know, there's almost no public profile.
Yeah.
Rosemary, I will not hide from you that this is an ongoing complaint that I have had
Yeah.
with quality Australian films that deserve audiences. This film deserves an audience. My fear is that the lack of public profile because of the lack of marketing is going to deny the film the audience it deserves because there's just no awareness level out there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very hard when you compete. When you make, as I said, the film budget was 1.7. The marketing budget is, and we did a lot with that money, as you said. And I think that a lot of it's about our theatre, ingenuity, and our designer Jonathan's ingenuity. But that is the tough thing. I mean, for us as a group of makers, the film's gone way beyond what we ever expected, and that's fantastic. And I think in America it will do well because it's with a great distributor who are very boutique. And I think if there's an audience for independent film in the world, and it's to say, for example, 1% of the population. Well, the population in America is huge. But as I said, like Nova has been amazing here. The way they've been pushing it, they're screening it a lot. They really believe in the film. They believe there's an audience. So they've been incredible. But yeah, our capacity to get onto mainstream media with advertising or anything is, way beyond us. Yeah,
that's got to change. I'm saying that as a general thing. Yeah. That is a part of the culture, the filmmaking culture, that needs to change. You should have been seeing ads for this film 3 weeks ago on Channel 7.
Yeah, it would have been good.
9.
We would have loved it.
It would have been great. You would have loved it. This is the thing. It's something you would like.
But we're trying hard with social media, and that's one place you can. Yeah. Yeah, and it's where the audience is. So we've got the trailers made it onto BuzzFeed, which is,
It's good.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Not the same as on TV,
exactly,
but it's something.
I mean, we totally agree. We love to have it on Channel 10, Channel 9, Channel 7.
Okay, this is the last part of the interview.
Yeah.
In which I would like to present you with the challenge.
Okay.
This is a regular part.
Okay, right.
Of interviews
scary.
with independent filmmakers. We'd like to present them with the Schembri challenge.
Okay.
This is the big challenge where I pretend to be a big shot.
Okay.
From somewhere, from America, say.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a big studio hotshot. And I've seen your movie.
Yeah, great.
Rosemary Myers. Yeah. Really liked the film.
Great.
I am head of one of the art house divisions of a major studio.
Great.
Looking at your film, loving it. Yeah. Thinking this is absolutely terrific. Would love to offer you a deal, distribution deal.
Yeah.
I would, just on a few conditions though, I want to give you some money to bump out the length of the film. It's a bit short.
Right.
You're running it around 73, 74 minutes.
77?
77 minutes with the credits, of course.
Over 4 minutes?
I always walk out. I always walk out during the credits. So, okay, we'll call it 77 minutes. I'd like you to bump the film out to about 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And inject a bit of sex during the dream sequence. A bit of Freudian imagery, just to sort of sex it up a little bit. And we'd also like you to maybe add another musical number at the end that takes place at the school.
Okay.
So that you're actually carrying the story on into the school. Okay. And we'll give you whatever it takes, $1 million, $2 million to do that.
That's a lot of money.
If you're in the middle of some theatre deal, whatever you're doing in Adelaide, we'll buy out the season.
Okay.
So we'll take care of that and we'll just give you the money. And so what do you say to that deal?
What do I say to it? I have to think long and hard. It's pretty attractive. I'd have to go talk to Matt, talk to Jonathan, and we're people that we've got ideas. We can make things work. I don't think we'd. I think we'd have to heavily consider it. But I'd also like to say that we have some other great ideas in the pipeline, and maybe this work is finished, and maybe you'd be interested, big Hollywood producer, in talking to us about another film idea that we've had. And the fact that we have come through this film, this is our first experience, we've learnt heaps, and we're really,
We'd put that in as an option.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
If you do this, if you make these changes to your film, we'll option your next project and give you freedom on that
If
film.
I say yes, is this chair going to light on fire?
But you'd be like in Austin Powers where the chair backs up and all these flames come up. That doesn't happen, no. It's strictly hypothetical and it's not a pass or fail thing. Yeah. It's just always interesting to hear people's responses because people's responses are different.
I reckon we could do something with those ideas.
Fantastic.